Well, hey folks, if you're interested in the new Fugitive in the Supreme plastic and don't have a lot of time to waste, I'm going to give you a quick summary. Yes, it's a great disc. The plastic is really nice, and it flies like an overstable mid-range, which is basically awesome. So you won't go wrong picking this up. Thanks for watching. Okay. For those of you that can hang out for a little bit longer, I will show you some flight tracking and some real-world throws along with my personal first impressions. But first, let me start by giving a big shout out to Ben and Chris at Dynamic Disc Iron City here in Birmingham for letting me play with their prototype. I will leave a link down below in the description for you folks to go check out their stuff and give them some love. Full disclosure, Ben just handed me the disc and said go play with it and make a video if I want. I am not sponsored by anyone, and all my thoughts are my own. Which is really too bad, because I wouldn't mind being bought out and becoming a mouthpiece for big plastic. I mean, come on. I can't be bought, but I can be rented. Okay, that was terrible. All right, so let's get on with the review. The Fugitive is remade for the Supreme line, which ties in with the Royal line of discs, if I heard Ben correctly before I was distracted by other shiny discs in his store. But the old Fugitive flight numbers were 5, 5, -0.5, and 1.5, while the new Supreme Fugitive is 5, 3, 0, 4. I think the flight numbers are pretty good, but I think the 4 may be a little much. I think it's probably more around 3. But please remember before you comment and tell me about how the number was derived by using a quadratic equation multiplied by Ohm's law, that I'm just giving you my feelings, and your experience may and will vary due to arm speed, nose angle, wind, elevation, and most importantly, purity of heart. So relating it to my recent MVP disc comparisons, it feels more like the Axiom Pyro at 2.5 than the Deflector at 4, which is a real meat hook. It is a straight no-flip mid-range with a solid finish back to the left for right-hand backhands. This is the quintessential bread and butter mid-range that you can cycle through many stages as time progresses. It's what we think of when we think mid-range. So what does this mean in real life? It's a very predictable flight, and when I missed shots, it was due to me underestimating the fade with the disc. I would fail to compensate for the overstability, and it would fade left of the target. Or when I would attempt to throw a forehand Anheuser approach, the fade would pull off a little bit more to the right. And this was all due to user error and not the disc. The disc performed as promised. Glide is now a 3 instead of a 5 with the old mold. And this is where we could have a whole discussion about glide and how much do you want glide in a disc. But that's really a subject for another video. My quick take on this is I want more glide for distance. I prefer less glide when accuracy is needed. So I tend to prefer less glide for mid-ranges and putters so that I can become more confident in getting closer to the target. The Fugitive is super consistent and I never had any surprises, and that is probably one of the best recommendations I could give for a disc. It doesn't get weird on you like that kid Laney who sat behind you in homeroom. Okay, the plastic. And here's the thing, I'm not a plastic connoisseur, so much so that I don't even know how to spell that word, and I did such a bad job that spell check can't even figure out what I'm trying to type. My take is this, that it reminds me of a blend of Star and G-Star maybe. It's got good grip and flexibility, but I couldn't tell a next level difference to other plastic that I throw. And you do realize that most of the stuff we throw today is pretty darn fantastic. You know, back in the day, we only had DX and maybe Flint to use. So the grip is great, but I didn't get to try it out in the cold. But every round I played with it, it was really good. Now, I will tell you, I was hoping to hear angels every time I grabbed it due to the hype about the plastic. But since I didn't hear angels, I think I might have to go back and check the purity of heart thing again. Durability. It's very good. I actually power smashed it into some cheese grater concrete on hole 18 at Inverness, and it only took a little scuff. I also skipped it off a walkway on hole 17 at Double Creek in Calera, and I couldn't see any damage on the rim at all. So that's really good stuff. I was able to throw it in various wind conditions, and the stability meant I could throw it with confidence. It also worked great as a flick putter. But most of y'all won't care about that. So the bottom line is the Supreme Fugitive is a great disc, and it's worth looking at if you are shopping for this slot in your bag. So now here's the thing. I would suggest you turn off your video now because you've heard everything that you need from a normal disc review. And the rest of the stuff is probably going to be crap. Go ahead. Okay. Everything this point on is going to be philosophical babbling from an old goat. So if you watch the rest of this video, don't come complaining to me about wasting your time. Heck, that's my job. I'm trying to waste your time. So here we go. What is your favorite Phillips head screwdriver? Craftsman, Bosch, Cobalt, others? How about that? You weren't expecting that. We often tend to like one brand over another for emotional reasons. We get caught up in the name, the stamps, the popularity of a disc, and forget that it's still just a tool, like a screwdriver. But at the end of the day, the biggest question is not what brand it is, but rather how well does it do its job? And what if they all pretty much get the job done the same way? How do you choose one over the other? That's the problem with these disc reviews these days, especially mid-ranges. I mean, let's face it, in order to be a good, reliable mid-range, you have to do what all the other mid-ranges do. And they all do pretty much the same thing that we need or want pretty well. It would be easier if the discs were bad. But besides from a few funky discs that you could probably name, any disc can really be a great disc to someone. So that means it comes down to these little extra things. Sometimes you may not choose to throw a brand because of how the company has treated people you know and care about. Sometimes one company has a niche disc, that's tough to say, that fits your game, something like the Berg. Other times, you just have good disc memories of your favorite local or touring pro throwing a certain disc or brand. Or sometimes a disc just clicks and for some reason it talks to you. I hope you know what this means. It goes beyond the flight numbers. For instance, I will cry if I lose my MVP Vector. It's like the wand choosing the wizard. It just worked with me and I don't know why. But sometimes there's just an extra something that attracts you to a disc. So the Fugitive flew well, it held up getting hit by hard surfaces, and it feels good in the hand. It checks all the boxes, except one. I didn't love it. Now hear me clearly, it is a great disc. It's a great disc. I just didn't get excited by it. Now granted, I was in the middle of a busy week that concluded with me coming down with COVID, so my physical and emotional levels may have been a little degraded. But I just felt like the Fugitive was just another good disc. And maybe that's exactly what it should be. Very good and reliable, and something you don't have to think about. Just like a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry. It's not sexy, but you just know that whenever you turn the key, you will get a reliable drive with no craziness. And isn't that exactly what we want with the mid-range? So, I guess what I'm trying to say as I wrap up this dumb ending of this video is that all these mid-ranges are pretty much great. So you need to find the discs that sing to you, and don't just take the word of some guy on the internet or person behind a counter. You need to love the discs you throw and love this maddening game while winning at having fun. This is a great sport. You realize only a handful of folks are going to become touring pros, and the rest of us need to just relax a little, enjoy the rounds we get to play now before the time and our bodies conspire to stop us. We're only here for such a little time, so let's laugh and be more loving to each other, even if it costs us a few strokes on the course, and don't get so caught up in discs. your character, and your happiness are way more important than your score in the grand scheme of things. Please like and subscribe if I said anything helpful or if you think flick putting is cool. And I really appreciate anyone who made it this far, and I hope to see you out on the course.